The calms crackled with an urgency that cut through the desert haze. April 1st, 2025. No joke. Intel had just painted a target. Houthi mobile launchers, prepping to unleash hell. For the A-10 Warthogs of the 124th Fighter Wing, recently arrived in theater. It was trial by fire. After 3 years without a major combat deployment, America's most rugged beast of burden was back. And this time, the mission was surgical, brutal, and time-critical. Find and neutralize these elusive threats before they could melt back into the unforgiving terrain. Our story begins just days earlier, on March 29, 2025. The roar of Pratt and Whitney TF3 for turbofans signaled a significant shift in aerial power. A formidable contingent of A-10 Warthogs from the 124th Fighter Wing, supported by 300 ground crew from the 190th Fighter Squadron, touched down in the Middle East. This wasn't just flag waving, it was the largest Warthog deployment in 3 years, establishing a forward operating presence at Al Dhafra Air Base, UAE. Their objective, to lend a heavy, armored hand to naval forces grappling with an enemy whose tactics were as fluid as the desert. Since the Houthis, advised by Iranian IRGC elements, had refined their shoot-and-scoot doctrine to an art form. The playbook was deceptively simple. Receive targeting data, often via Starlink terminals. Then roll camouflaged missile launchers typically bearing C-8O to anti-ship missiles, with 165-kilogram armor-piercing warheads and a reach of 180 kilometers from hidden mountain caves or tunnels. They'd fire, and knowing the full might of U.S. retaliatory capability was moments from descending, they'd vanish. This deadly game of hide-and-seek was precisely what the A-10 was designed to disrupt, and disrupt it did. That April 1st engagement set the tone. The Warthogs, airborne from Al Dhafra, were on station over the designated kill box within 18 minutes. An A-10, with its 11,000-pound internal fuel capacity, can loiter for up to 90 minutes. A predatory patience, hooked up to a KC-135 Stratotanker. That loiter time is limited only by ordnance and pilot endurance and ordnance. The Warthog has in spades. The centerpiece, of course, is the GAU-8A Avenger, nearly 19 feet of rotary cannon, an extension of the aircraft's very soul. Jutting from its nose, it unleashes 30mm depleted uranium-tipped armor-piercing incendiary rounds at a blistering 3,900 rounds per minute. Each shell, nearly half a pound, is an emissary of destruction. Tanks become scrap, soft-skinned vehicles, and exposed personnel. The results are self-explanatory. On that fateful day, an RC-135 rivet joint, a flying signals intelligence vacuum, intercepted Houthi chatter, their primitive reliance on civilian cell phones. A consequence of U.S. success in degrading their secure comms was their undoing. The strike was imminent less than 20 minutes. To A-10s, call signs Havoc Flight went full throttle, their engines screaming across the desolate Yemeni highlands. Max speed, round for 120 miles per hour, meant they'd arrive with no time to spare. As they carved through the air, the pilots utilized the AAQ-8 Lightning targeting pod. This 87-inch, 440-pound marvel, slung under a wing pylon, houses high-resolution FLIR, laser designators, and CCTV cameras capable of spotting man-sized targets from up to 28 miles. But this engagement would be intimate. Nearing their time over target, the pilots acquired visual, blissfully unaware. The Houthi crew trundled their fully loaded C-8O to launcher from its cave sanctuary. With no effective enemy radar active, a testament to prior U.S. strikes, Havoc Flight descended, low and unhurried. At 6,500 meters, the lead Warthog's pilot squeezed the trigger. The iconic BRRRT ripped through the air. Though carrying 1,150 rounds, pilots typically fire in 1 to 2 second bursts to conserve ammunition and manage barrel heat. In that brief window, Havoc Flight spat out approximately 260 rounds. The launcher and its crew were, in tactical terms, neutralized. It was a chilling overture to a dangerous new symphony of air power. The very next day, April 2nd, ISR satellites flagged unusual heat signatures northeast of Sada. In Yemen, a 5-ton truck is not a common civilian vehicle. Intelligence tagged it as a probable mobile launcher. The call went to the Air Force, but the A-10, for all its strengths, flies low and relatively slow when employing its cannon, making it vulnerable. That's why its pilot sits cocooned in a 1,000 to 100-pound titanium bathtub, capable of shrugging off 23mm rounds, sometimes more. But the Houthis were now alerted. Every remaining radar scoured the skies. Enter the A-18G Growlers from the USS Eisenhower. These F-18 Super Hornet derivatives are masters of suppression of enemy air defenses SEAD. Think of it as electronic warfare's equivalent of a knockout punch before the main event. They're next-generation jammers, operating in the 2 to 6 GHz mid-band listened. As Houthi radars pulsed, the Growlers, referencing a comprehensive library of adversary emitters, identified and geolocated them. Then came the counter, a focused 270 kilowatt blast of energy, overwhelming the enemy radar's receivers, effectively blinding them. Legacy Soviet or Iranian systems, common in Houthi inventory, were particularly susceptible. Within 15 minutes, 3 Houthi radar installations went dark. With the electronic eyes of the enemy poked out, the Warthogs moved in. Their lightning pods detected 3 launchers. One crew was hastily attempting to recamouflage their asset. The lead pilot, from a standoff distance of 26 miles, unleashed an AGM-65 Maverick. Its 125-pound shaped charge warhead struck the first launcher center mass. The resulting secondary explosion from the onboard missile was catastrophic, shrapnel tearing through the other 2 nearby launchers, punching fist-sized holes in their chassis. As the surviving crew attempted to flee in a Toyota pickup, the trailing Warthog rolled in low. At just under 150 knots, a half-second burst from its GAU-8, 50-30mm rounds slammed into the vehicle. 4 more enemy combatants neutralized. By April 10th, the operational tempo had visibly changed. SIGINT revealed a shift to a defensive posture in Houthi communications with their IRGC handlers. Advisors reportedly pulled back to Swan, seeking deeper, more secure hideouts, attempting to establish redundant antenna relays and even bury fiber optic lines. But there's no true hiding from an aircraft that hunts with heat. The Lightning Pod, independent of satellite data, allowed pilots to patrol, visually track movement, or detect the subtle thermal bloom of vehicle exhaust or heat seeping from underground bunkers. It could even differentiate between idling engines and crude decoys, paired with drone overwatch. Each A-10 became an airborne apex predator. The Houthis learned this the hard way. On April 13th, a crew in Joff province wheeled out a C-802, positioning it near an irrigation berm, awaiting GPS lock. A U.S. drone had marked their movement 40 minutes prior. A Warthog was already orbiting. A patient hunter, descending to 3,000 feet, skimming the mountaintops. The pilot waited for the Maverick's optimal 7 nautical mile release envelope. Carrying 6 such missiles, he let to fly. The launcher and its accompanying radar were obliterated. The Houthi gunners, seeing the hog dive, broke and ran. Their last sensation was the earth-shattering BRRRT. Remarkably, direct engagement wasn't always necessary. Against targets in densely populated areas, the Warthogs employed a show of force. Ground crews would load the A-10s to the gills 6 Mavericks, full 30mm drum, targeting pod. On station, if called to an urban scenario, the Warthogs would execute an aggressive, low-level pass, simulating an attack run. The psychological impact was profound. Houthi operators, and often anyone nearby, would scatter for cover. This cleared the area, allowing for a precise follow-up strike by the A-10 itself or another air asset, minimizing collateral damage. By mid-April, the results were undeniable. Houthi missile activity plummeted by nearly 70%. Navy vessels in the Red Sea reported fewer radar locks. For the first time in 2 months, some commercial tankers risked passage without naval escort. It was a quiet victory, absent from headlines, but deeply significant. Strategically, the A-10's performance reignited the perennial debate over close air support. Despite Air Force plans to retire the fleet by 2029, Marine and Navy commanders began petitioning for extended deployments. The numbers were compelling. From April 2nd to April 17th, A-10s flew 218 sorties without a single U.S. loss. CENTCOM confirmed 47 enemy missile systems destroyed and 9 senior Houthi commanders neutralized. The Warthog, the old dog with new tricks, had proven its enduring value in a theater many deemed solely a naval concern. And for the Houthi fighters on the ground, the sight of an A-10 banking in the sky now posed an immediate, terrifying question. Is it just passing by, or is it lining up a shot?